Hi, guys, and welcome back to Cor Meets World. Today's guest is Isaiah Kirkpatrick, a North Carolina based stylist, creative director, and storyteller whose work lives at the intersection of art, fashion, and truth. His photography has been featured on Vogue's PhotoVogue platform, where his use of color and composition captures both intimacy and intention. And his exhibition piece, Made in Her Image, reimagines the Black church through themes of womanhood, faith, and belonging. From visual storytelling to personal expression, Isaiah continues to craft a narrative that feels both deeply personal and universally resonant. This is Cor Meets World, and this is Isaiah Kirkpatrick. So, Isaiah, before we dive into your recent work, I want listeners to get a sense of where it all began. So, starting from the top, who is Isaiah? Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, Corey. So nice to be here. And that was so beautiful. That was quite beautiful. Thank you for that. I am Isaiah Kirkpatrick. I'm from Greensboro, North Carolina. I come from a family of 6. My dad has been a minister ever since I was young. He's now a bishop. And I've always kind of been, in terms of art and where it kind of all started, I've always been very into creativity. When I was younger, it was drawing. I loved to sketch and draw all the time. I was just constantly drawing, trying to trace things. I mean, I would put like paper across the TV, right, and try to trace the drawings as the cartoons were happening. And then that transformed into my love for music. So I remember I was young and I said, Daddy, I really can we get a piano? I really want a piano. I just wanted to play piano. And I would practice on this like little toy piano and learn music and songs. And one day he surprised me with a piano, this old used, I forget, but it was this electric piano. And I learned on there. And so then it went from there, and then singing. And then I went to a performing arts high school where I did piano and I did singing. But all the while though, I never quite liked or never quite engaged with my looks or clothes, right? Because in the religious household that I came in, there was an expected way you were supposed to present and dress, especially as a black man, a black man of faith, a black man following Christ, right? And so that's just not something I really engaged with, other than, I mean, for the longest time, my mother would dress me for church because she didn't want us to dress ourselves, because when we stepped out of the house, we represented them.
You had to look a certain way.
You had to look a certain way, and she had to make sure that we looked a certain way. So, I mean, in a lot of ways, I didn't even have autonomy over how I dressed myself for the longest time, which I think for a lot of black people that grew up in that type of environment and grew up in the church, they might relate to that.
Yes, I do relate to that.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I didn't. And then, well, and I'm sure we'll get into this too, but I mean, with pervasive like anti-blackness, right, in the environments that I was in school, me suppressing this queerness enigma, which I would love to come back to later, that was kind of swelling in my childhood. And then, again, not engaging with my looks, I didn't get into like where I am now in terms of fashion and colors and clothes and all that stuff until really almost I got to college. So.
Right. And that's really interesting. And I love how you touched on like your background, especially coming from like an arts high school. Was it Weaver Academy? Weaver Academy.
You listen when I talk.
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes. And I want to dive into that because I think the foundations and where we come from informs a lot of the rest of our journey as people. Yeah. And I'd love to kind of dive into how that early training kind of shaped your lens on creativity right now. Because like you said, it was college when you decided to kind of really embrace that and dive in. Right. But how did those experiences leading up to college kind of inform that and create who you are today?
So I'll take it back to 8th grade, right before I went into Weaver Academy, and I was at this private Christian institution, very much white, evangelical in nature. Right. and I had been there since I was really 2, 3 years old.
Right.
And I was there quite often because not only was I there during the school year, but my parents, because they didn't want us around the house, going inside the house and screaming and running around, running their nerves up. We also, they hosted a summer camp at the school, and so we also did the summer camp at the school. So I almost was at that school. I felt like sometimes more that I was at my own house. I'm there during the school year, and then once summer comes, I'm also there too.
Right.
And so back to 8th grade, right? I mean, I was one of very few black students there. Again, the education and the way they thought about the world, they thought about faith, they thought about like personhood was very conservative, obviously. Right. I don't need to go into that.
Yeah.
You can imagine. And so I remember I said, I just can't do this anymore. And more so just because I was kind of having some reckonings about my blackness.
Right.
Right. It first initially was like thinking about my blackness and how I wanted to engage with my blackness as a black person. And I couldn't do that there like I wanted to. And I said, I have to leave. And so I found Weaver Academy. I said, well, I can, because I didn't want to go to the home school in my district.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't want to do that. So I found Weaver Academy. I said, okay, I can use my piano skills. I can audition and get in. So that's what I did. And I remember when teachers at my school found out that I was going, they pulled my parents aside. They said, oh, you don't need to send him there. You know, there's a bunch of homosexuals that go there. You know, he's probably going to end up gay. He's going to turn gay. And I remember my parents told me that, and I just thought, oh my goodness, this gay thing, this queer thing is this fear, right, of, you know, this unknown is a lot bigger than even up to that point, obviously I knew that it was taboo and it was a no-no.
Yeah.
But the fact that it warranted I had to pull you aside to warn you, you know, don't send your son there because of this. You know, that was very shaking for me.
Yeah.
And so anyway, obviously, thankfully my parents, they saw the bigger picture that I was trying to go for academically. We thought it was going to be better, you know, educationally wise. And I had big goals. You know, I wanted to go to a nice college. Nobody from that private Christian school really goes to nice colleges or anything like that. They go to the military. They go to the they go to the military. They go to trade school. They do those things, which there's nothing wrong with trade school and all those things. That's not what I wanted to do. That's what those can I say white kids?
Yeah.
That's what those
Caucasian people.
That's what those
wanted
white
to do.
kids
Yeah.
wanted to do. That's all they imagined themselves doing.
And getting married right out of
Getting
college
married
and
right
starting
out
their
of college
families
and having
and
kids and
well,
you know, absolutely. That is not the
similar
life.
background, because when you're from these small towns, that's the norm.
That is just
That's
how
the
people
norm.
think. That's not what I wanted to do.
Half of my graduating class is married.
Oh yeah, no. Married,
Like,
kids,
house.
you know,
Yeah.
that's beautiful. That's not what I wanted.
Exactly.
And so they knew that, and they didn't want that for me either. And so they were willing to look aside the fears of, you know, a corrupted sexuality for the gain of me getting into a better institution to further my education, right?
Right.
So I ended up going, and even at that arts high school, you would imagine, oh, okay, Isaiah, this is the time. You can finally be who you are. You can, you know, explore, you know, this sexuality question that's been kind of gnawing at you all your life. But you have to understand, I'm still in my hometown. I'm still in Greensboro. Weaver Academy is located right downtown. And I ended up becoming friends with people who were in connection with my family, with my church. One of my best friends at the time, his dad was also a minister in Greensboro. And so obviously ministers are in cahoots.
Interconnected.
They're
very much
interconnected,
so.
especially in the
Yes.
same city, right? And so actually the opposite happened in terms of that exploration. It actually went the opposite direction. And I was determined. I was like, okay, we're not going to do this forever. We're not going to be gay. We're not going to like men. We're not going to be, you know, we're not going to, you know, I'm here to be creative, but I'm not going to be creative in a way that's disruptive, right? I'm going to be creative in a way that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
You know, you have to think I'm being classically trained in piano and vocal performance. That in itself is in opposition to a lot of the ways that culturally other groups like Black people operate in music and things like that, right? But anyway, and so also, if I'm talking a lot.
No. This is very important, and I wanted you to keep going because it's going to inform. The rest. Yeah.
Good. And so, I wanted to be creative in a way that made sense. I didn't want to be too disruptive. I didn't want to stand out too much. I wanted to, I would often, I'm cosplaying, this. I'm cosplaying having crushes on girls, and my
We've
friends
been
are
there, yeah.
wondering, why did you just go talk to her? Why did you just go ask her? Oh, and then you list 1,000 reasons. Well, I can't because this and that and that and this and this, all this stuff. Maybe you were never going to ask her out if you don't want to, But that's what I did because that's what I felt like I had to do, almost to a point where I was also using, scripture, and especially conversation with my friends, and using scripture and be like, like, it's not something I necessarily agree with, and just say all these things that were just so contradictory to how I felt,
and who you were,
and who I knew I was, but I was playing the part, which is so ironic that that it was actually at the arts high school that is where that was taking place. But towards the later end of high school, I had met a friend. I believe their name is Poppy now. I don't want to misgender or mischaracterize them. So Poppy, if you ever see this and you've changed, or I'm sorry. But they said they did photography and were so known for just being very funky, in terms of what to this day still, and now that I've been in it and I've been around a lot of creatives, I've seen a lot of funky stuff, but to this day still, I don't know, like, they were just very different.
Right.
And this was before, obviously, this is like 18, 19, all that. This is kind of before TikTok really took hold,
right,
and before you really had all this mass production of styles and aesthetics, right? So it was really being unique.
Yeah.
And they were like, just let me take a picture of you. You're really gonna like it. I really think you're gonna like it. But you have to understand, I am playing this character that I've been playing, and I've only doubled down on it. I really hate the way I look. I don't think I look camera ready. I don't want to be perceived. I don't want to be seen, because I feel like me being seen it's not just me being seen. It's you being able to see something that I don't want you to see. Right? It's not just you looking at me, but you see something else. Right? And I don't want that. Right? But I was like, okay, whatever, child. I'll let you. So we went to this museum in Greensboro. I remember I had on blue pants, black turtleneck, black beret. I love a hat. I still love a hat. I don't got one on today, but I love a hat. And I let them take my picture, and I looked at it, and I was like, wow. This was like junior year going into the senior year of high school. I said, wow, this is, And that kind of, from then on, it changed how they were really very instrumental in like changing how I thought about presenting myself, and how images can transform how you think about yourself and how you think about the world. And so I'll leave it there for now.
Yeah, and so that's an amazing story, because I think the fact that they asked to take your photo just showed that they saw you for who you were. Even when you put up that caricature of, like, I'm playing this part because this is what's going to make, this is what makes sense. Like you said before,
Right.
This is what's going to make sense.
Right.
But even through that, they were like, no, I see you. And I think
Right.
that's what that was about. And they obviously put you on the journey to become all that you are today. So that's like, I think that was a very integral part to mention, because that's going to definitely inform as we get into current day and more recent things. But as a creative, just fast forwarding a little bit, now that you've kind of left that behind and kind of really started to dive into, who you are as a person, as a creative, what does a typical creative process look like for you?
It's a great question. Um, and I think it's kind of hard for me to answer right now because I feel like I haven't been able to really engage in a creative process like I want to. There's just a lot going on
Yeah.
right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, trying to graduate, um, you know, trying to think about, you know, where I want to be or where I want my life to go.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking about relationships. Am I still going to be friends with this person? Are they going to stay in my life?
Mm-hmm.
You know, am I, you know, I low-key think I have a crush right now, Corey.
Oh my God, no.
I think I have a crush right
No.
No,
Not
actually-
like more than a love. Yeah. I hate when that happens.
This is not the time for it.
It's not the time. Yeah. But it could inform the creative process. Maybe that's going to be your inspo, your muse, if you will. Yeah.
So, you
Yeah.
know,
We hate when that happens.
no, we hate when it
Yeah.
happens, but we also love when it happens.
Yeah, we love it and we hate it because how dare you?
How
How dare
dare
you
you come into my life
Life.
and make me look
Like-
at you like that and love
But
you.
also, thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank
yes.
you at the
thank
same
you.
time.
Thank you at
Yeah.
the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
There's just a lot that I'm dealing
Uh-huh.
with right now.
Uh-huh.
And so I haven't been able because I do have some things that I'm trying to do or I want to say,
Mhm.
but just that I've actually been thinking about for at this point now months, right? And even been talking with people about for months and trying to plan things and all that jazz. But I'm also learning that I'm going to get to your question, I promise. But I'm also learning that, you know, things take time.
Yeah.
Creative things take time.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I'm at in my creative process is really realizing that creative things, good things take time. And so in the past, when I've thought about creative project, it depends on what I guess initially inspired me to do the project. For some things, it's maybe, you know, I'm reading a book and I read a quote in the book that I really like and it really sits with me. And I'm like, how can I translate how this quote in the book made me feel visually? And so then that's where it starts.
Right.
Or sometimes I find a really neat piece and it speaks to me. And I don't know, you know, I was talking to a friend yesterday and I said, because sometimes you'll see a piece. And this, for anyone who does thrifting and does, or likes clothes or anything like that, this is something I want to say to that too. Because a lot of times people will come up to me and be like, oh, you know, I thrift or I do this, da 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 da. And I see something I like, but then I just don't know what I would do with it. So I don't end up getting it, right? But what I'll say is this, right? If you're thrifting or you're looking for clothes, you're trying to fashion your identity through what you wear, like constructing it through that, and you see something you really like and it speaks to you, get it. Because you need to trust not only yourself, but you need to trust that it'll speak to you again.
Right.
If you liked it once and it spoke to you once, get it, put it in your closet, let it sit and wait, let it marinate, right? And trust that it'll speak to you again. And when the time comes for it to speak to you again, for you to wear it, for you to walk in it, for it to let it inform you, it will. You see what I mean?
And then you'll find another piece and that inspires that. And you're like, wait, I have this in my
and I
closet.
have this and da 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 da.
Yeah.
But it all goes back to waiting. You think you don't know what to do with it because what you're really saying is you don't know what to do with it right now.
In this moment.
You don't need to know what to do with it right now.
Exactly.
Sometimes
Because
that's okay.
time. That's a perfect analogy. Because sidebar, we can probably cut this. But sidebar, I just bought a vest. I just bought a vest and it literally spoke to me. I was like, I couldn't leave it. And I was like, wait, I don't know what to do with this.
but you
And I
get it.
sent it to Justin. I was like, Justin, do you want this vest? And then Justin was like, I don't want the vest. And then I was with my friend Nick and I was like, do you want the vest? He was like, I just don't think I could wear that. And I was like, well, I'm going to buy the vest because I do like the vest itself. But I'm like, what do I do with this? It's a leather vest and it's really high quality leather. And it's like, and it just comes around and it's sleeveless. And I was thinking about it and I was like, that did speak to me. So maybe I just put it in my closet and let it marinate. Like you said, that was really good advice.
And it'll speak to you again
And
when
it'll
it's,
speak
when
to
it's
me later.
time.
See what I mean? That was perfect. I just showed Justin that vest, and I was like, you know,
He's
what
an
do I do with
on-time
this
guy.
vest?
Yes, he is.
Exactly.
He also said he wasn't eating.
Yeah, I was like, wait, if this vest doesn't fit, because I didn't. Okay, so I saw the vest too, and I was like, "Is this gonna fit?" But I put it on today, and it fit. And it looks like
Okay,
I'll show you
skinny.
after. It looks like when I put it on, because it doesn't have sleeves, obviously, it's a vest.
Uh-huh.
It kind of it gives the vibe of like a corset top, and I'm like, "This is really interesting because the leather, and this is the." It's unnecessary, but when I put it on this morning, I was like, I really like this because the leather kind of is masculine, but then the way that it fits me is also kind of masculine because of my build, but then the way that it looks in my torso and chest is kind of feminine because it's like a corset top, and I really like that. I was like, this is very me, but I just need to figure out what to do with it. Anyway, we got sidetracked, but yeah, I was like, I really like this. It's very me. It's
Yeah,
a very
show me
me
after,
piece.
please.
Yeah, I definitely will.
Also, can I say something that you
Yeah.
cut out too? I can't read what you put on your phone because I don't have my glasses on.
That was for Corey.
Oh, it was
Oh,
for me.
okay,
Yeah,
okay,
it was about
okay.
my hand placement.
Okay.
But yeah, so fashion obviously is a big thing for you, and if you don't know, Isaiah was featured on the PhotoVogue platform for Vogue, because of the fashion, the photography, the creative process, and like how powerful I feel that your pieces are. Because when you post something or you put together something, we stop and we pay attention because we understand that there's layers to it. It's important. You're saying something through your art, and I think that's something that's kind of getting lost in art. So I think that's what makes you stand out a lot. But yeah, just to kind of like transition into that feature on the PhotoVogue platform, which is just insane, by the way.
Thank
so
you.
congratulations on that again. That was amazing. Could you talk about like how that came about, and like especially as someone who got into the fashion and creative process of it all like in college, which is, typically pretty late. Like what did that mean to you to see your name like on the Vogue website?
Yeah, no. So the very first image, right, that I was able to get on that page was part of a project that I did with my friend Annie. Shout out to Annie. She is also an amazing stylist, creative director. She'll thrift for you. Naked Eye. Go on Instagram, look at Naked Eye. Have to shout out Annie, because she's also been very informative to my creative like journey as an artist.
Yeah.
And so we had did a project where we wanted to present Black people existing in a way that you might not normally see them or expect them to be, right? And so we wanted to go out into into nature, and we wanted a horse, and we wanted all these colors, and we wanted all these textures, and we wanted a dog, and we wanted all this stuff, all this home on the range, type thing, to kind of unmask that that side of Black people being in touch with their humanity and nature in that way, right?
Yeah.
And so that was very beautiful to do. And so I remember there was another mutual on Instagram, Creator Mutual, that I respect, that goes to NCAT, North Carolina, A&T State University, and I saw that she was able to get a feature, and I love her work. And that's the thing about seeing something and knowing that it can happen, right? And not just seeing anyone do it, but seeing someone close to you, a peer of yours, or someone that you know, right? And if they can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
Like being so happy for them. I was like, wow, girl, that is amazing. And like, well, if she can do it, I'm capable of doing it too, right? And so then from there, I was like, well, Annie, I think we should try to, we should make an account and just put our best foot forward. I mean, the worst that could happen is we don't get on.
Right.
And so we did, and then we submitted the image, and then I think I was on the phone with her like the next day. I was like, I went to go refresh the page to look, and I just see this image of me and Annie and this horse and the Vogue emblem in the left corner, and I said, Annie, we got on. And
Yeah.
like, no, we did not. I was like, no, baby, we're on Vogue right now.
Yeah.
And we were just both so happy. Like, it's hard to kind of capture and work. Like it was just like, wow.
Yeah.
Like it was different seeing that emblem. Not that I need that emblem necessarily to validate who I am or what I do, but it did feel good.
Yeah.
It feels good.
Yeah.
So
Because that's just an honor to be recognized
Right.
as a creative. Like
Right.
it's on like the largest stage, obviously. Like Vogue informs a lot of styles and trends and things in fashion, and they highlight people that should be highlighted, like yourself. So
you.
that's amazing. And then also transitioning to a more recent project, Made in Her Image, which was just when I first saw it.
Uh-huh.
Like, and this is what happens with me in art. When I first see something, I kind of like think about what it means to me. So I kind of was just like looking at it and from that perspective of the church, and I just like kept thinking, especially that photo. Like that photo just like brought back so many memories. As someone being brought up in the church, like it's just like I'm sure everyone that was brought up in the church, especially the Black church, like when you see that image, a lot comes to mind. A lot of memories, a lot of thoughts, a lot of everything, right? Sentiments, being kind of forced to fit a mold, like you talked about before. All of these different things just came rushing in, and I don't know, like it was something that definitely made me stop. And that's what I was saying before, like with your work, you always have to stop and take it in. And then when I just read the description, and I was like, wow, like this isn't something that I've seen before. Like, and that's what being an artist is about, as you know, obviously. And I had never seen that before. I had never seen someone take the Black church and kind of challenge it while also honoring it, I would say. And I think that's what makes it interesting. So I would love for you to kind of like talk about the process of Made in Her Image. Like, where did that come from? Where did that inspiration come from? And then how did you kind of build that image?
So,
Yeah.
a really big question, because that was a really big project. So I think, and since I've been in college, I have been wrestling with my faith, right? I decided to take on a minor in the study of Christianity and culture, because I've always been quite interested in the biblical narration, the context, the history, but I wanted to get a bit more, especially in an academic sense, because there's just so much that we don't get in the walls of the church, especially in the Black church, right? And so I did that, and of course, my dad, it was minister. It's like a lot of those classes, they're taught by white professors who don't even believe. They're not believers. Very skeptical. Even some friends,
You right.
schoolmates, peers, that I talk to regularly. They'd be like, oh, like I don't know about all that. I'm not trying to take no class, or people are trying to tell me discourage me from believing, and whatever. So you got all these people in your ear,
Right?
But I knew that's what I wanted to do, and so that's what I did. And so I think it was coming to a point of, because I had just got back from being abroad. 2024, the fall of 2024. I went to Lisbon. I went abroad, studied abroad. Oh my gosh, I think about it every day. I was literally just on the phone with my best friend talking about it before I pulled up here. Still informing me a year later, and
The photos were gorgeous.
Thank you.
Gorgeous.
Thank you.
Gorgeous. I loved it. I remember that.
Thank you.
I remember when you were abroad. Yes.
Thank you.
And that was amazing. I loved your photos there. But anyway, side note. Sorry.
Thank you. Yeah. So it informed. I come back and I'm feeling a lot of emotion. Obviously when you come out of where you were, where you're brought up, and you go live somewhere else, right, like that, and then you come back to where you were, you are now in constant conversation with identity and place and belonging, right? Because you're kind of forced to. When I'm over there, I'm not in the same environments. There is no Black African American church. The African American church specifically is a very distinct type of church too, right? And so there is not that over in Portugal.
It's its
right?
own culture.
It's its own culture.
Yeah.
It's its own thing, right? There's not that. All these things are not in Portugal, and likewise, so many things that I love culturally about Portugal and Lisbon, about the people there, are not here in America. So when I get back, I just have a lot of feelings. I was quite depressed when I got back. That's a whole nother conversation, but I was quite depressed when I got back, and I'm just feeling a lot of feelings, and I'm thinking about place and belonging and identity and faith. And I said, I gotta capture this.
Yeah.
I need to capture it. And I need to capture, some part of myself that was very integral to who I am, into something specific to this land,
Right.
this American land that for better or worse, Black people and descendants of slaves have found ourselves in, right? And I think coming from Portugal, a foreign land, that juxtaposition like really spurred that. You see what I mean? And
Yes.
so that's kind of where, because I mean it's always been there. The church has always been a part of me, but I think that contrast was like, I want to, because I was capturing so many things about that land, in Portugal, and I said, boy, what a shame of me not to do that for where I'm from,
Where you're from.
and so that's kind of what spurred it. And so I met with a friend who didn't even know. Our first time meeting, she also goes to NCAT. She was a photographer. I saw her work on Instagram while I was in Portugal, actually.
Right.
I saw her on Instagram, and I was like, hey, girl, I know you don't know me, but I love your work. And we're going to work together one day.
Yeah.
We're going to work. And she was like, oh, of course, da-da-da-da. I get back. She drives up to Chapel Hill, and we meet at, what's that? What's the brunch place?
Flying Biscuit?
No, not Flying Biscuit. It's on Franklin Street.
Burgess?
Carolina Inn. No, not
Oh, Carolina Coffee Shop.
Carolina Coffee Shop. We meet at Carolina Coffee Shop, and I tell her, this is around like February, and I tell her what I'm thinking and how I want to tread this line of being ambiguous and showing and not telling, and letting the audience take from it what resonates best with them, right? These are the themes I want to put in it. I want to have themes of sexuality and womanhood and identity construction, and how the church has informed that, especially for Black people,
Right.
what it means to be gay and also still be a Christian. I'm still a Christian.
Right.
I still love Jesus, and I'm gay.
Right.
Right. And you want to talk about it, we can. You have a problem with it, we can talk about it. Right. Or how, the role of the Black woman, specifically for Made in Her Image, the role of the Black woman in the church, and then by proxy, just the Black cultural identity in the United States in general is so understated and so looked over.
Yeah.
And so all these things I want to put in there, but I didn't want to shove it in their face too much, right? I don't want to hold your hand. I want you to open the door. I want you to look
Dive
in.
in.
I want you to step in whatever room you want to. Sit at the kitchen table. Sit in the living room. Take your time. It all goes back to taking your time.
Yeah.
And so we met in February, but we didn't end up shooting it because I had to. Thankfully, my grandfather, who is he's also a minister, and he preaches at First Missionary Baptist Church in Pittsburgh. This small, you saw the images.
In the image,
small,
yes. That's like how I see the Black church.
yeah, like that small old school country church. You come in, the ushers are in white. They got
The like
gloves,
wooden choir stands.
choir stands, creaky floor, the baptismal pool. All the stuff that we know.
Yeah.
Right. And so he let me. He was like, of course. I was like, I'm doing a project. I just want to take some shots. I didn't want to give him too many, details.
Right.
but-
Right.
And he let me. So yeah, we didn't end up shooting it till about like April, May or something like that. And we didn't end up, compiling everything and like letting the public see it to like June 15th, the day of the Pentecost. I wanted to be intentional to post it on the day of the Pentecost, which is the day that, that the church, the Holy Spirit came down in the church, had the, whatever.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was the timeline, like early 2025, not even, but it didn't manifest itself and wasn't seen till almost halfway through the year.
Yeah.
And so it was, and then getting that image into, getting that image into the exhibition, right, at the Contemporary art museum of Raleigh. That didn't happen until very recently.
Right.
Which in October, right? It's almost the end of the year. And so it's been amazing to see how something that was spurred in me almost a year ago now is coming into fruition in this way, and it's touching people in this way.
And it takes, like you said, it takes time. Yeah. Especially for things that are great. And that's why we talked about it a little bit off the record, but you were talking about like things you're looking forward to. So like kind of transitioning off of that and like the success of Made in Her Image and how so many people resonated with that photo. What are you kind of looking forward to creatively in the creative sphere of your life in the next 6 months to a year? Are there things like bubbling, like inspiration, topics you want to tackle? Yeah, and then also kind of like to tie into that answer, what kind of sphere do you want to step into? Is it like, do you want to lean more into the fashion, like with the Vogue feature, or are you kind of leaning more into like the photography and the artistic expression / even in some ways advocacy that came with Made in Her Image?
That is a great question. Great 2 questions. You're a great host. I mean, this is really.
I try.
But I think in the next 6 months to a year, and we were talking this off the record too, because the Dark Knight of R&B, D'Angelo, passed away yesterday. Who was a big inspiration for me, like musically shaped me a lot. And like his artistry, Marvin Gaye's artistry, Michael Jackson's artistry, a lot of these people that I look up to, Erykah Badu, and the way they engage with music and art informs, especially the more I really dig into it, how I'm trying to move forward, especially D'Angelo. 3 albums over decades, only 3 albums over decades, right? And how much he poured into that, and how much life experience and ambiguity, and I mean, so much of just, I'm going to put it in there, and I'm not putting it in there for you to understand.
Right.
I mean, I've been listening to some of these D'Angelo songs since I was so little, in the car in your mama's back seat. You're hearing it, and these songs, it's like, I don't even know what he's saying, because he's like, it's like mumble. It's like, I don't even know what you're saying. But that's okay. I didn't need to know the word. I knew it was for me, though.
Right.
I knew it resonated with me. And now these years later, it's still unfolding itself, right? And I want to make art that unfolds itself over time, right? That is, by the nature of how I made it, it doesn't reveal itself all at once. You kind of have to sit with it. You have to engage with it. You gotta talk to it. You gotta whisper to it. You gotta wait for it to whisper back. And another thing that I admire about D'Angelo is he was very unapologetic about being black and making black art. So I think a lot of black people sometimes feel like black puts them in a constriction, when I think black is everything.
Exactly.
I think black is everything. And if I'm making black art, I'm making everything, because I'm a human being, and I'm I'm everyone.
Exactly.
It's all in me. Yeah. And I've been really inspired and encouraged to do that. And so specific details maybe aren't so ironed out.
Yeah.
But just know it'll be black.
Exactly. Because like I feel like something that gets lost too is, and this is intentionally lost, over time, the trends and the music, the art, the creativity that stems from black culture that just gets, and for lack of better words, that gets watered down and then put in, like, spread to the masses.
Bastardized and...
Exactly. Exactly.
It loses its weight and its significance.
And its significance, so that it's digestible for the mass. Mass media,
and it doesn't need to be digestible, right?
And I think that's where people lose the difference between artists, and I'm talking specifically in music right now, the difference between artists and singers, because there's there's just such a huge difference, and there's nothing wrong with that difference, but it just
No.
is what it is. Like,
Right.
like for example, for me, like a singer would be like a Taylor Swift or a Sabrina Carpenter, but then like an artist to me is like a Michael Jackson or a Beyonce, or all these big people that are
Absolutely.
known but not necessarily just out there just producing hit after hit after hit, because there's so many songs, like for example, the Lemonade album is one of the greatest albums of all time, but
Absolutely.
if you look at the songs on that album, like how many of them were in the top 50 of the Billboard Hot 100? You know what I mean? I think
Correct.
that's, and people lose that, and it's the same with art. It's not supposed to be digestible sometimes. Sometimes it's supposed to just sit and live and be as it was intended to be. So yeah, like and moving on from kind of the art part, I would love for people to like just hear from you as a person and like just learn some things about you. So we're gonna do a rapid fire with some fun questions to wrap us up here.
Hey.
So like, you're a creative, right? So I think a lot of people would like to hear about what your favorite album is of all time.
Whew. Lord have mercy.
Rapid fire. Rapid fire.
I mean, Lord, after I did all this spiel about taking my time, you would do that, wouldn't you? Okay,
You
it
can
has
give
to
us
be-
3,
Okay, 3 albums that. Okay,
because that's hard. I couldn't do it.
yeah. Well, speaking of D'Angelo, the Voodoo album, Love. I'm trying to. The I Want You album, Marvin Gaye.
Okay.
And Thriller, Michael Jackson.
Okay, that's a strong top 3. Okay, rapid fire. So who's your dream creative to collaborate with in any facet of?
Tyler Mitchell, he's a photographer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Tyler Mitchell.
Okay, we'll look
Great
for
work.
this.
Yeah.
What's 3 words people will use to describe you?
Gay.
Me too. Me too.
You know, I think I would hope people to describe me as discerning, funny, and authentic.
I like that. I probably would have said something similar. I probably would have said authentic, definitely, because there's no one like you. And I think that's usually how creatives and artists are. Y'all are different. Like, when we see you, we see you.
Thank you.
That's just, no, I'm not doing rapid fire. Who is your role model in fashion?
Role model in fashion. Ooh. His name, I don't want to pronounce it, but I really do like Ibi Kamara. He was I think the director of Off-White, fashion director of Off-White.
Okay.
Really like his work.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot. I like the way he tells stories.
Through his pieces.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, those are all my rapid fire questions. As we wrap up, and we've covered so many topics, obviously, and we've gotten to dive in very deeply into all of your art and who you are as a creative. Is there something or a specific topic that you want to dive into to leave the audience with? And it can be literally anything. It can be anything you want to cover, anything like a statement, a quote, a joke. I don't know. Like, it could be anything you want to leave the audience with.
A quote that has been resonating with me recently is one by Toni Morrison. I actually just used it in this other statement I had to write the other day, but I'm going to paraphrase. She said something along the lines of, she was talking about writing, because obviously her art, she was a writer.
Right.
And she said, people don't want to read about, as a writer, people don't want to read about what you know, because you don't know nothing. So write about what you don't know, and don't be scared ever. And that's been really resonating with me recently, because I think in my creative journey and just in life in general, there's a certain humility that you need to operate in, and understanding the more you know, the less I actually do know. And when you know, and thinking you know so much all the time, it actually makes it really hard for you to say something important because there's too much of you in it. And that's not the point.
Right.
Not even of just making art, but in being a human being.
Right.
Because our lives are so entangled with other people's lives. And so much of those lives we know nothing about.
Right.
And so, to the audience, just remember that you don't know as much as you think you do. And that's okay.
That's okay.
Neither does the person next to you. And that's what makes us human.
That was deep. That was good. That was good. That was good. Because in school, they always taught us curiosity is key or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They also said it killed the cat, but I don't deal with cats.
See, exactly. Exactly. Well, thank you so much for being on Cor Meets World.
No, thank you for
have
having
been
me.
one of my favorite guests of all time. You've had so many interesting perspective, insights, and experiences to share. And I'm glad that you could take the time to sit and chat and yap with me today.
Of course.
But yes, thanks guys for watching, and make sure you follow Isaiah on all of his social medias. Check out the exhibit.
At Isaiah Kirkpatrick, ISAIAH, Kirkpatrick, KIRK, Patrick, no hyphen. You can follow me on Instagram. And the exhibition is at Cam Raleigh. It's in Raleigh, and it will be up until November 9th. So if you love art and you want to go check it out, please do.
Yes, and thank you so much again, and thank you guys for watching. Bye guys.